I have been lifting for about 2 years. During these 2 years, I have continued to learn more and more and more about weightlifting. And in this video, I'm going to compress 4 of my most impactful little changes you can make into the gym to increase muscle hypertrophy, which is just the growth of the muscle. So yeah, guess we can hop off to the first thing, which is using lifting straps when you're doing a lot of back movements. One thing you're really going to want to do when you are doing something like row or lat pull down is you're going to want to use lifting straps on the movement. Lifting straps are these things here. There's a couple different versions. I personally own 2 different versions. This is a figure 8 strap, but essentially what you want to do is you want to use these straps on the movement, because when you do this, it takes a lot of the emphasis off of the forearms, because a lot of people, they're actually going to have their forearms get somewhat tired when they are doing a movement like row or lat pull down. And this is putting a lot of emphasis on your forearms rather than what you actually want to target, which is your lats. So when you are doing a movement like row or lat pull down, use lifting straps and just do it as you normally would. This kind of brings me into a second portion, and the second thing you can change to optimize more gains, which is that you should be including a tempo into your actual workout. So what a tempo is for example, say I'm doing row. A lot of people when they're doing row, they're just gonna cheese it. They're gonna just like slam the weight up and down, and that's gonna be more of a full body movement, and it's not gonna put any isolation on the back, which is what you really want to be doing. Rather, what you should be doing is you should be having the weight slow and controlled. And what I mean when I say a tempo is maybe pull up as fast as you can, and then on the way down, slowly release it and have a set amount of time. For example, I pull up in 1 second, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A typical tempo that I'll do is about 3 seconds. So try to aim for somewhere around in that range. But yeah, try to include a tempo, and not just on back movements. Try to include a tempo on a lot of leg movements. Try to include a tempo on a lot of pressing movements especially. And try to have the tempo mainly set for the eccentric, which is the part of the movement where you are lowering the weight. That way you can really control it and then explode up, for example in the bench press. So that's number 2. Another thing that I would recommend doing to optimize your gains is to touch the muscle you are working. So for example, right now I'm on the leg extension. If I want to really be targeting the quads here, what I want to do is I want to raise it up and then maybe try touching the muscle at the top. It's a little harder when you're doing 2 expenditure movements where you have both of your limbs working at the same time. But if you were to do something like a 1-arm chest press, doing this, try to really push and touch that muscle right here, because when you're feeling that contracting, you have better mind-muscle connection, and when you do this, you tend to actually get a better contraction on the muscle, and when you get better contraction on the muscle, you're going to build more muscle. So that's number 3. And then the last thing that I would really recommend people start trying to do when it comes to trying to just build more muscle in the gym, and this is something Tom Platz did a lot, but it's holding your muscle at the tension point. So typically what I'll do is I'll work on a set till failure, and then when I hit failure and just where I think I probably couldn't do another rep, then I'm going to hold the exercise at the top of the movement for as long as I can, and just doing this makes your muscles more tired, and it's going to work them better. So that's the 4th thing. Now, I've made other videos on a lot of stuff that you can do outside of the gym with diet and sleep, but these 4 tricks are very simple things that you can implement into your workouts that are going to actually help a lot to increase muscle mass and get better mind-muscle connection. And doing this is going to increase muscle hypertrophy, and who doesn't want to build more muscle? So I would say trying to implement adding lifting straps to your movements, trying to implement a tempo so you have it controlled on the way down on the eccentric, touching the muscle that's being worked, for example here, or another good example would be leg press, touching the muscle that is being worked, or chest press, or bicep curls, but a lot of times when you are touching the muscle, it's a lot harder to use both arms, so you can touch the muscle easily pretty on leg workouts. And then on upper body workouts, if you want to touch the muscle, just try to just do one arm at a time. A really popular one is a JPT, I think, lat pull down, where you hold your lat and you're going to pull down with one hand. All good stuff, but just try to maybe implement those 4 and you can probably see some pretty good results from those 4. But as always, strive for greatness.